DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
It's time for Tuesday Night Live Chat with Brian S. Red and John Young.
I don't want to go.
I heard it's a no trespass.
So
I don't want to go. No, for real, I don't want to go.
Okay, but I'm just saying you can't.
Well, I'll go if we all go together, but okay. And I'll tell you, I was there in the early 90s when he was there, and they were setting up the soundstage on the soundstage, or the touring stage on the soundstage, testing it, and the walls were still white, and it was like a real freaking recording studio, not a museum and a shrine. And I don't know if I want to change that vision in my head, you know?
I don't blame you.
As much as I'd love to go, that's just kind of...
I get that.
Makes me... Sorry. Are we live?
We are live. We are live.
Okay.
We're on.
Good evening and welcome. For those of you who are joining us and you're wondering what we were talking about, we're talking about Paisley Park. We're talking Prince. Really, what we were talking about is some of Brian's finds today. He was out doing some marketplace shopping, found some really cool vinyl out there that if maybe at the end of the show, you know, if we have some extra time.
Can I tell you a little story about this? Oh, nice. Can I tell you a little story about this particular find of records?
Yes, let's do it.
Just briefly, and this won't take long, but I think it's kind of neat. So I always go on Facebook Marketplace because I'm trying to find Mustang parts, and sometimes when you click on there initially, it just shows you things,
and then records show up.
This record collection. I'm like, I'll look. So I look, and the guy, whatever it says, send me a private message and I'll send you an Excel spreadsheet of everything I have. I'm like, holy crap, this guy's organized. So I look at his name and I recognize his name. He was the DJ at the club I started at downtown before I came in. I replaced him at the club I was working when I was 21.
Wow.
And he was best friends with my boss. And it was nice to reconnect. But the cool part about it is, I don't know if Jay, I think I've told John, you both have been in the studio. I've explained to you that the third deck and the desk actually came out of that first club I worked at downtown, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have.
He's got the other deck.
Oh, wow.
Cool.
I thought that was so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I had a very similar thing today. I got a text on my phone and I had to send nude pics of myself, but I'm not sure what I'm getting in return. I'm just saying, there was no vinyl involved.
But it was on.
So I was going to ask you, Jay, how's it going being Keanu Reeves' stunt double for Bill and Ted?
I'm working on it.
The music.
It's a side project. It's a quiet holiday season, and they said, "Hey,
let's bring him in.
Do the grayish beard and maybe just let the hair go. It's Nam time."
Yeah,
we're all excited about that.
You're spiffing up for Nam. It's great.
I'm trying to look as homeless as possible. Yes.
All right, so for tonight's show, we will get into our topics. We have got 10, well, actually I have 11 topics in case one of them dies. And then
we're on the 2-minute thing.
We are doing the two.
Oh, sweet. Okay.
So what the way tonight's show goes is I'm going to give the gentleman a topic, and there is a total of 4 minutes. They each get 2 minutes to answer, respond, reply. And once it's done, when the clock hits 0, we go to the next topic. We cut it off right there. That's the end of that particular topic. We've done this.
Can I yield to the gentleman from Temecula when I'm just done?
John Cafferty and the Beaver Brown Band.
Oh, well, that took care of that our fourth topic. Thanks for that.
Okay.
Wellness theme, shapeshifters.
For those of you who are wondering, we have done this before. We did this about 2 months ago, and it turned out to be kind of a fun little show. You can go and actually search for that on DJNTV. We called it The Great Debate that night. And all the topics that we hit that night are in the description. Tonight, we'll add the topics that we talk about after the show is over to make sure that it is accurate. So we're going to get our official timer
Oh, here we go.
into place.
Okay.
And I got to put this up. There we go. And we'll have it ready. So,
Who goes
gentlemen,
first?
our first topic. We'll start
goes
with
first.
start with Jay,
Okay.
because he is looking
I
extra
can live with that.
extra
Yeah.
special tonight. The question has come up, and Brian's actually done a video on this, but I want you both to riff on this just a little bit. Do I really, honestly, truly need a DJ controller in this day and age?
I think in today's day and age, with the lack of support from the music industry on CDs, vinyl, if it's not Control and you're buying just vinyl, you're not getting the newest things. Tape is out. I would say, in my opinion, as a DJ showing your craft, you need to operate within the realm of what we do by definition, which is we take music and mix it together. Can you do that with just software? Absolutely. Do your clients have just software? Absolutely. If you want to be a professional, in my opinion, and go out and make money at this, you need to show up with things your clients don't possess. They probably don't have a controller. They probably don't have professional speakers. They probably don't have moving heads, trussing, ADJ Event Pro Table 2s, all those things. Controller-wise, in order to manipulate the music that is befitting a wedding, a club event, whatever, go back in time. 2 turntables, microphone, mixer. It's what a controller is for the digital age. Though I am on the younger side of most DJs, I have embraced the new technology and found that I enjoy using a controller because now I have the ability to look at all these songs by key, by BPM, all these things in my software, but I still want to work without a net. So when I take Serato DJ, take 2 songs and put them together, it's up to me to manipulate the platters, the pitch, and get those tracks to mix. But it's also up to me to be the artistic side of DJing, where I'm allowed to take music and intertwine it. That's why a controller for me works better than just working off software and just riffing it with, I'll press a keyboard. If I hit the space bar, I can load a sample. I can go pop, 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 pop. I'm done.
I like how he did that. He just ran the clock out.
Right, don't do it.
You know, which is what people do, you know, especially like when you're gigging, you're doing a wedding, and it's like, okay, it's been over since 10:30. Everyone's gone home except the 3 drunk yous at the bar, but you're going to run the clock out until midnight. That's what Jay just did with his time.
I'm drinking coffee.
And he's
Me too. So I only have 1 minute and 34 seconds to express my opinion on this. I don't know. I think what we do, the core of what we do, is less about how we do it and what we do. I think it's about the music. It's about your programming. It's about playing to your audience. Now, yes, people at home have software. People at home don't have controllers. However, people at home aren't able to play for all of their friends well enough to get everybody to dance. That's what we can do. That's what we should be doing anyway. And for that reason, controllers are great. If that's what works for you, you should always use what works for you. But I don't think they're necessary. But I do agree with one point that Jay did bring up, or what word am I looking for? He said it. This stuff should look like science fiction to anybody who's looking at your equipment, your presentation, your mixing board, your computer. I know everybody has a computer, but whatever's on your screen should not look like what anybody's seen on their screen at home. Your speakers shouldn't look like something from home. The fewer consumer electronics you bring to the table, the better. And I yield my time to the gentleman from Minnesota.
Well, in this particular case, I have to kind of side with Jay on this one. That it's a tool that you can do things that you just can't do without, for controlling music, matching the music, and dropping things in. It was something that when I first started using it, I wasn't very good, and I didn't think it was that important. But now, after I've had it for a little while, I wouldn't be without it.
Yeah. Well said.
Okay, the next one. This is something that's been coming up a lot recently. As
DJs on videos. Oh, sorry.
This particular topic, for DJs who are wanting to network, and we're going to do this as a 2-parter. There's going to be the local And then we're going to come back and do the second part, more of a national networking. So is giving some tips on how to be able to network and communicate, and maybe some things to look out for when networking with DJs locally within your market.
I think the biggest struggle, and I started a group in my area. I live within an area where several cities make an area called the Inland Empire, which is part of Riverside County, which is between San Diego and LA. And I purposely went out, and you know all the DJs. Morrow, Rude, Todd Runkle, Joey Pena, these people that are known on Facebook within various groups. We all got together and would meet once a month. And it was fun and it was good, and I want to continue doing it. But by nature, one of the downfalls of the DJ market is that we're all so driven to not only want to help others and share, but also to be in our own little bubble and charge what we charge and not listen to advice. So it's very difficult, in my opinion, locally networking, unless you can find like-minded DJs who are willing to say, hey, if I'm booked, I'll send you the gig. Or what do you charge? Well, I charge $1,000. What do you charge? $800. Why don't we all charge $1,000? And then we can all charge $1,200. We get so caught up in the money. We get so caught up in the, I'm better because it's so ego driven, that I think it's difficult at times to network. It's very easy to meet DJs at shows and say, hey, I love what you do. I love what you do. And we should talk. Then the reality sets in of, no, this guy is going to steal my gig. And before you know it, I'm not going to have an opportunity to excel because I've now opened myself up to the competition. If you don't look at your neighbors as the competition, you can network with anyone. But as long as you look at them as the competition, you're always going to leave them at kind of arm's length, in my opinion. And that's local.
Brian, local networking, some thoughts and tips.
I don't do any official organizations, but I do have my guys. And my guys are a small group of DJs that can help themselves to whatever they need down here in the dungeon. It's just the way it is. If somebody needs something, they can just come and get it. If I need something, I know they got my back too. These are people I trust. We've brought people, or I've personally brought people into my circle, and they haven't worked out, and so they don't come back. But what I will say is that I work with people who work well with me. We work well together. The people that I know and I work with don't particularly work with each other either. They work with me. They have their own people that they work with. Does that make sense to you?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So they know each other because of me, but they don't really kick it, if that makes sense to you. They've got their own people that they work with, but primarily I'm their guys. So it's a personality thing. And, if there's one thing I've learned, especially getting involved with YouTube and the community globally, is that, man, we are a different kind of personality type. We're all a little odd. We're a little off. And there are some personality quirks that are going to work well for some people and not for others. Some people are going to gel, some people won't. And I've found people that I feel like I work very well with. I found people that can do things that I can't do, like Art, who does the Latino events, the Big Quinceañeras, fluent in Spanish, great guy. If I ever need anything, he's got my back. I've got guys like Wavy, does all the voice stuff for the MC. He's the guy. He does a better job than anybody else. So it's nice to surround yourself with people who are smarter than you and do things better than you do. There are things that I do better than them, and they get me for that. So we work well together.
Cool.
It was really not very eloquent, but
no, that's fine. That was fine. You give an idea, and I think that personality and that fit is hugely important when you're talking locally. And then, of course, Jay talking about that competition these are real things for people who are wanting to network locally. I remember
when I'm just sorry. I remember I knew this girl, right? And she was really nice, and we got along really well, but we never dated. And my mom's like, "Why don't you guys get together?" And I'm like, "Because I don't know, because we're not that way with each other, This is not who we are. This is not our thing. We're not that close. So just because you're a DJ doesn't mean that you're going to work well with me or Jay or John or anybody else.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit on that networking because of our digital world, because of the internet, because of chat rooms like what we have going on. By the way, thank you guys for being with. We've got about 85 people I just checked watching on all the different channels.
Sweet Jesus.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. They're like, hey, what's
Sure to like the video down below.
Yeah. What's Keanu Reeves doing on my screen? That's what I'm just going to say.
Iato.
So
He's hot right
networking.
now.
Networking nationally when you're meeting DJs and really probably I wanted more of the idea of what are some kind of red flags if there's times where you need to be able to say, well, this isn't such a good thing, that idea. So, Jay, go ahead.
Red flag ideas as far as what other DJs are saying.
When you're trying to when we're networking and we're talking to DJs from around the country. And there's going to be some times where you're going to have some red flags. And I can look across the table at you, and we get a pretty good measure of each other. But when we're talking digital, and I'm sure you've met a lot of things that were. Yeah,
I see where you're going. You know what? I'll give that a twofold answer. I think partially it's, and I'll go back to a group I was involved in years ago, and the name of the group was The Best DJ for You. And the premise of the group in the first sentence was there's no such thing as the best DJ, just the best DJ for you. And that's sort of how I approach digitally. You could come on Monday and say, yeah, I was in Des Moines, Iowa, and this is the music I played, and I killed it, and I booked 7 weddings afterwards. And I might look at the music and say, I wouldn't have played any of that. Well, that's because I wasn't there. So when I'm online, I tend to look at people as the middle. And the middle means if you're down here saying, the industry sucks, I can't book anything, and I hate this, I'm always on Facebook and I never talk to clients, well, that's your issue. But also at the other side of the coin is when you come on and say, hey, I've booked 700 weddings this year, but I'm not going to tell you how, and I'm not going to tell you the methods unless you buy this. Then I unfriend you or snooze you or whatever, because, we're famous for what do you charge? $2,500. No, you don't. You just feel if you say it enough times, you might actually get the guts to charge it. And I've seen this for 20 years. I've seen people, we all need to show up with the biggest CD player. So we all play that game online. I think the majority of groups that I'm in, and there's hundreds of them, I think there's a genuine want to get better, but there's a stumbling stone of most of them are guys. It's ego-driven, and it's unfair competition. Brian and I are full-time DJs. We don't have day jobs. If you're making $150,000 a year as an engineer, and you have $300,000 worth of DJ gear, but you do 10 weddings a year, we're not the same thing. We spent 20 minutes before this thing started talking about our love of music. Because we're DJs, because we love music, and because we love music, we're DJs. That's where digitally it's all gotten skewed. People are on there and living in a world of, wow, I see a fast track to some money. I mean, if you've been a DJ for 5 years, and you're already up to $2,500 a wedding, hey, God love you. Good luck. Do your thing.
When are you going to yield some time to me, dude?
I don't know. I was just wondering the same thing. If this was his 4 minutes, and
I still have a minute 12 left.
No, you don't have a minute 12 left. You're burning up a minute.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Did I burn through yours? I'm so sorry. Okay. Go.
I just try to work with people who I get along with. I'm a pretty laid back guy. I'm not a high stress guy. I'm not highly organized, but I'm relatively organized. So I need to get along with something like Howie Darkstar. This is a guy who I can talk to. I trust him. He's smart. He's always got good ideas. He's always positive. I love talking to Howie Darkstar.
Is he out of jail yet?
Yeah, he just got out of jail. Just I don't know, 5 minutes ago. He's here.
I was going to say it was earlier today. I thought, yeah.
I gotta meet that kid. I've heard good things about him.
He's a good kid. He's a nice young man.
That's what
he's going to make.
But yeah, I deal with everybody because I'm
Yeah,
on
but
social
Brian, you're
media.
the same as me. You don't like the BS that goes on digital. Come on.
No, of course not. But
And
what I'm
you
saying
show
is that
once in a
I'm always here to help. But
I
as far as who I reach out to for advice, that's a more narrow band of folks that I reach out to.
like that wide.
A little wider than that.
A little bit, but yeah, it's pretty accurate.
People are good. I mean, generally, I think people are good.
I think people want to be better, John and Brian, but I also think they get caught up in, it's the telephone tough guy. I'm online. I'm anonymous, even though it's my picture and my name. I can still type in whatever I want. The reality is, if your last gig was great, then your next gig has to be great one. You have to be, in my opinion, the only reason I do gigs is because every gig I do, I want it to be better than the last gig. So it's a self-competition. I don't think that exists a lot digitally.
Well, you can kind of weed through the BS.
Oh yeah, you can.
It's and I sometimes and I've made the joke before and I don't mean to keep harping on this Keanu Reeves things, but I feel like Neo in the Matrix because I'm seeing things that like other people don't seem to see. It's like, wow, that's bullshit. And everybody else like, wow, really? And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe people are buying this.
Well, when a new exciting YouTube video is, you should bring backup gear, that tells me that the industry has gone into a flux of, we're so new, we don't even know we're supposed to have a second microphone in our backpack. It's the other night I did something. I had 3 laptops running simultaneously for a karaoke gig along with my backups. And people are like, you use this many? I'm like, well, I actually have a 4th one in my bag. You're kidding. I'm like, if things break down, will you accept that I didn't bring backup? They're like, no. I'm like, then accept that I always have it. I mean, things like that become new.
All right, let's continue on, gentlemen. The next topic is, this one could be a quicker one. What is your favorite piece of gear of all time? In your whole career, what was one of those pieces of gear, looking back, it could be something new, it could be something old, your favorite piece of gear of all time and why that is your favorite piece of gear? So I'm going to give you just a second to think about this one. I will throw mine in, and then that way you guys will have just a little more time. My favorite piece of gear ever was the Vertigo, I think it was the Vertipro. The Vertigos that you could link together, and when you had them doing dit and that little stutter effect across a gym with fog was the coolest effect at that time. Looked amazing.
I remember that.
It was those are probably, I still have them. They probably don't even work because they've been in storage, but those are some of the only old lights I still have. So that was mine. Jay?
I had a Scotty, and Brian knows the Scotty Chucky story.
Scotty Chucky, yeah.
Yeah, and I had a Scotty that did that was like, would do the stutter effect. And I always wanted to get 2, but they stopped making by the time I went back to get one. But I could buy truss. Dun. That's an inside joke with Brian. Yeah. Honestly, the greatest piece of gear I've ever purchased, hands down, no doubt, would be my rock and roll cart R12. Because it changed everything I had done up until that point. I had a Grundorf stand that folded out, and I could carry 2 speakers and then a mixer and a bag. And all of a sudden I got a rock and roll cart, and I unfolded it, and I could do 1 or 2 trips for every gig. So that would have to be my best piece of purchase ever. Sound-wise, probably the DDJ or the DJM 3000 mixer, my first Pioneer big purchase.
I knew you were going to say that.
Very expensive. It was an amazing piece of gear.
Yep.
I sold it a few years later to a guy, Tim English, who may still have it in San Diego, and it was awesome. Lights-wise, I have to say, of all the lights I've ever owned, the Revo 3 from American DJ was on the floor in front of my table for probably 3 years, just covering the room, the ceiling, the floor, the people with dots. It looked amazing. I'm going to be honest, the technology, as somebody in the game, it to me, technology in the DJ realm stopped probably 8 years ago. In that, nothing is really that big of a deal. There's nothing you look at and go, "Ooh, this thing's awesome."
Okay, we move on.
I pointed.
I know. I paused it even so Brian could have his full 2 minutes. Okay, Brian, here we go.
I think I want to talk about the piece of equipment that I ended up appreciating the most.
Okay.
And because there's so many things have come and gone, and there's some wonderful things that I'm using today that have made it possible for me to go out and do what I do in my physical condition. But, you know, when I think back about the thing when it was in front of me and I was able to actually use it, oh my gosh, I loved it. And it's got to be the Technics 1200, because we were using records and we weren't using great turntables. We were using junky turntables and junky needles, belt drive stuff from Radio Shack, or at best, some lower end Technics deck. And the first time I was able to actually use 1200s, it was kind of like I was running with ankle weights all those years. And they took the weights off, and I was able to just bullet, because the deck started up right away. They were really solid, no skipping. It just felt good. And if you're not a record guy, or if you've never been that, it'd be really difficult for you to understand what I'm saying. But yeah, man, just an amazing, still to this day, an amazing piece of equipment. That's what I think was probably the thing that just blew my mind the most, was using one of those. And I yield my time to the president of the Huey Lewis and the News fan club.
Well, of course, the lights are the first thing. And then, as you mentioned, the turntable, I would have to probably then say a second piece would have been getting into the CDN 88, I believe, was one of the first CD players that had the ability to do pitch, change the pitch and such, or the tempo of lock the pitch, change the tempo, and doing things with CDs.
Key lock and
the key lock and such. That would have probably been audio wise one of my early favorites. So good.
I would
stuff.
love, by the way, if I could interrupt, being that he's much more of an expert than, dare I say, you and myself, I would love to hear maybe a quick 30-second from our esteemed colleague in the Minnesota area. What is his all-time favorite one light?
As far as myself?
No, Brian.
Oh, Brian. He's
You
Wisconsin.
said Minnesota. I live in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Same thing. Sorry.
Yeah.
Same
It's in the middle
No.
bit. Who cares? It's not
It starts
California.
with
It's not
an
New York.
Starts with an
Bunch
M.
of shit.
Yeah, it's like,
Milwaukee, sorry.
Something
Go
like that. You've been here.
I know. I should have that whole scheme down. Does Ben still live there?
He lives in Minnesota.
Whatever.
Yeah, it's all golden.
Near-ish, John. Yeah.
Yeah, we're all.
No, what's your all-time favorite light, Brian?
My
One light.
all-time favorite light.
Yeah, if you had to have one light,
Boy.
every light you've ever had, all 8 million of them. What's the
8
one light?
million of them. Boy, there were a lot of lights that came and went.
I know.
I still think the light that made me feel, and this is going to sound so stupid, but the light that made me feel like a rock star, and it really made, like, as a performer, it sounds silly, but it was halogen par 64 cans. Because what we used to do back in the old days is, well, when I first started doing this, we had like one, right? And it was on a T-bar, and it would come down and we could look at our records and our turntables. That was kind of our work light.
Mm-hmm.
But then when we went to CDs, and I did a full truss overhead, and then I did 2 T-bars on the side, it was kind of a 3-dimensional truss thing. So it was going this way and going this way. So I got creative, and I think they were actually par 56s, the smaller one.
Yep.
I put one on each side of me. They were aluminum. And in one of them, I put like a magenta gel, and the other one, I put a dark blue gel in it. And it felt like you were on stage at First Avenue going like, "Dear the Beloved." It was awesome. It was so cool.
That's totally cool.
It really made me feel like a star. Not, and again, I was young then, whatever, but that was so cool. That was such a cool effect. And it's the simplest stuff sometimes that I think produces the best effect. It doesn't have to be anything crazy bunch of servos in it. Just something that creates an ambience. And that was really cool ambience. I know that it looked great. I would see other DJs under my set. Like, wow, that looks fantastic. These guys look like rock stars up there. So I must look like a rock star up there. The light's right.
That's it. That's a great answer. John, listening to Brian, doesn't it make you reminisce and wish we were both alive back in the 70s and 80s?
Yeah, I've just thought that, wow, back that, how did you pronounce that word?
Halogen.
I thought he was going to say a candle behind like a little shell.
Exactly, and a little bird holding. Okay, the next topic, gentlemen. Our person that we're talking to is someone in their middle, their 40s. They're having that kind of a career change in their world, and they want to get into DJing as supplemental income, what have you. They enjoy music, what have you, but they're like, hey, I think I want to get into this. Where do they start? If you were going to be starting today at 40 something years old, how or what would you do as the first step to getting into DJing?
Well, assuming that you've actually spoken to a DJ and understand that it's far from you stand up here and play music and then leave, so that there's backbreaking work, investments, time, energy, and effort, which has dramatically changed over time. Nobody's going to a swap meet like I used to do to buy used CDs so I could bolster my record collection in the 90s. You know what? I don't have good advice for new people coming into this because it's a passion of mine. Mm-hmm. This isn't like I watch the Food Network and I have a stove and I have a knife and a cutting board and a pot. I think I want to be a chef. A chef would be offended by that. And I'm sadly kind of the same way. I'm really proud of being a DJ. I talked to a client last week and they said, do you offer a photo booth? I said, no, I don't. Oh, the other DJ does. I said, well, if I offered a photo booth and it broke during dancing, would you be cool if I stopped the music and went over and fixed it? She's like, well, you have an assistant, don't you? And I'm like, that's really not the point. The point is, if it's my responsibility, it's my responsibility. Mm-hmm. I just want to be responsible for the music. So if you're into music and you think it'd be fun, I would tell you in your 40s, buy the cheapest controller you could get. Pioneer makes one, DDJ 200 for $149. Hook it up to your phone, Bluetooth. Mess around with the mechanics of being a DJ, because to me, being a DJ is not only meeting with clients, not only loading in and out of gigs, not only taking care of things, but it's also reading the crowd. And that's the one variable that none of us can teach. Brian, you, me, there's nobody that I know that can genuinely say, I can teach you how to read a crowd. You can tell them that if they're old, play this, or if they're young, play that. But yeah, no, I'm not good at it. Brian, take it.
Brian.
Man, that'd be tough. I mean, the reason I started doing this is because I love music. I mean, there was no other reason. It wasn't because I wanted to perform. It wasn't because I wanted to be the center of attention. I actually talked about that in my keynote in wherever we were, Allentown, yeah. Yeah. Where I said, I knew from a really early age that the DJ wasn't the star of the show. And the reason I knew that is because I had seen Saturday Night Fever and I had seen Thank God It's Friday. And those DJs weren't anybody that anybody talked to unless they wanted to make a request. Otherwise, they didn't hang out with them after the club. They weren't a star of the show, but they were the ones kind of conducting everything. They were the facilitators of the party. And that's all they were. They weren't the star. They weren't even the co-star. The star were the dancers. The co-stars were the artists of the music they were playing. So I think it's important to understand what a DJ is. And if you're down with that, if you're down with knowing that you're not really the star of the show and you feel like that you are better than average for, looking at your neighbor and say, hey, what kind of music do you like? Oh, here, try this. Maybe you'll like this. Oh, yeah, I do like that. If you feel like you're really good at that kind of thing where you can, kind of pigeonhole somebody's musical taste or generalize it or something, then let's move from there and let's figure out what kind of DJ you want to be. And yeah, that's the first step. I yield to the gentleman from almost Canada.
I was looking for a book, by the way, but I think it's even tough.
The one you stole from me like 12 years ago, never returned?
That's the one.
Yeah.
Last DJ saved my life.
You have to buy another copy of that, I
And I
guess.
was going to do this. Well, I'll bring it to you. We're both
No, you won't. You're a liar.
Yeah, that's true.
I'll never see that book again.
No, but all kidding aside, I think it's, and you made a great statement just there. What kind of a DJ you want to be? We're speaking from a utilitarian standpoint where we can do anything. You could go out Saturday night and do a techno club, do a wedding on Sunday, and do an 80th birthday on Monday. So could I. But DJs are all over the map. Tiesto can do a Tiesto set on Saturday. He can't do a wedding on Sunday. You and I can. But we can also do a Tiesto set on Saturday. I'm not diminishing his talent from creating music. I'm saying that what we do is reproduce time and moments and feelings through music.
I always kind of looked at us as soldiers.
Yeah, we are. We're not general.
We're soldiers. We just jump in and do it. And there's been, whenever I've had an emergency,
but we do whatever we need to do because
I had a couple emergency events last year. I mean, I knew about these events hours before they started. Excuse me. And I would go and they'd say, "Oh my God, thank you for coming at such short notice. And we're so sorry we couldn't get more information to you." I'm looking, I'm like, "What are you worried about? I got this.
Yeah, you're on it.
And we'll just play music and it'll be fine." This is what I do. I'm used to being thrown people throwing hand grenades at me. They've been doing it since I was 13 years old as a DJ. This is nothing new.
No.
That's my experience.
Okay, gentlemen.
I think that's the problem, John, with the question. People that get into it in their 40s are specific. They've had an experience. They've gone to EDC or they've gone to Vegas or they've gone to wherever. They've rarely ever left a wedding and said, "I want to do that." Or they've gone to a bar mitzvah and said, "I want to be that guy or girl." But the term DJ is such a big term, and you get into finite detail about what it is we do. I dare say, I think I can speak for Brian on this. Brian and I are journeymen. Brian and I are in the trenches. Brian and I take pride in our ability to do any event, anywhere at any time. There's no gear that I would be scared of. There's no gear that Brian would be scared of. I take a lot of pride in that. I just got off the phone before this whole thing started with the client for next year's wedding. And I'm like, I'm really proud that I'm a DJ. I want to be there to play music. That's it. That's what we do. We get excited. This thing will end and Brian and I will stay on for half an hour talking about music. We won't talk about facades and moving heads and trussing and are you charging $2,500 because I'm doing a video next week where I put down this guy, but I do that. No, we love music. And Brian has 10,000 videos. I think I have 550. Go ahead, look. It's all about the passion. If you're not passionate, there's little to nothing we can tell you that will help you if you aren't invested. You can't be an athlete without passion. You can't be an actor without passion. You can't be a DJ without passion, in my opinion.
Humble.
Thank you.
I think this is where that Pastor Jay comes in.
This is what he does.
I need a white piece. Hold on.
Can we pass the collection plate now?
Hold on.
If you open the door and there are wild animals in your house, stuff's just gonna happen. And you got to expect that. We invited this.
We did.
Okay.
Next topic. Next topic.
Hashtag Brian Dowdle.
There goes that.
I just talked to B. Diddy yesterday.
Well,
Did you?
Yeah. He was driving up to, I don't know, somewhere really posh because somebody had bought like $100,000 worth of EDJ lights and they're doing this Christmas thing.
It wasn't me.
No, it wasn't you. No,
it wasn't me.
The caller.
No,
okay, gentlemen.
The other way.
The next topic.
Yes, sir.
This is that time of year where DJs are thinking about adding some new gear for 2020. Paying for the gear is always an issue. A lot of companies have credit cards for the no interest and such. But how would you guys recommend, if I wanted to add something to my company, how would you recommend to do it in a logical way and not end up hurting more down the road. Whether, it's fine, whatever. What would your recommendation be to be able to make those kind of purchases for your business?
Well, I hope I don't get beeped on this, but I would recommend you call. I don't know if that got beeped because I gave a name and a phone number. Did that?
Yes, we can't say
Hello,
that.
Jay sent you.
Oh, God. Yeah, exactly. That's my line to everything. You know what? If I haven't said it in this medium before, I will say it now. I will give you the secret of how to invest in future equipment for the best return on investment. I'll use lighting as the example. End of the year, you've got a choice. Pay taxes or invest the money in your business. Take the write-off. If you're concerned about, can I buy lights and sell them, I highly suggest you call your clients for next year and say, hey, I'm going to start offering uplights. This. And I'm going to offer it for X amount of money. But since you've already booked me, I'm willing to offer you a big discount of this. So let's say you're going to offer $500. But since you've already booked me, I'll offer it to you for $300. Once you get 10 clients that say, yeah, please add that to the contract, that's your money to buy the uplights. So at the end of the year, even though you want to invest the money back into your brand, I don't know that you need to go too crazy. I would get things that you actually need or want, but want towards the need side, not just, wouldn't it be awesome if we had big trussing? Well, if you can't sustain that, don't buy it. Get the things that you actually can utilize. New controller, new laptop. Go to Amazon. 1 terabyte solid state drive for $135. Get things that are actually going to help the business, not just the fantasy of the business. That's at least in my opinion.
Ooh, Brian.
Nice and well done.
Was the ooh because of my opinion or the fact that I ended before 2 minutes?
Yeah, both were great.
6 minutes of my time, so it doesn't count anymore. So the first thing you need to do is be a working DJ. If you're out there and actually gigging, this is good. However many gigs you do per year, maybe you do 20, 30, 40, who knows what you do. But as long as you're a working DJ, that's step one. Step two is to look for products that people actually want. There are so many things out there that I feel like DJs look at and say, boy, I think that would be a great upsell. But the problem is no one's ever asked for it. And you could, present it to them all you want, but they may or may not be interested. There are things that they're genuinely interested in, like they want to do remote ceremony, for instance. That's why I'm so stupid about these battery-powered arrays. I think they're wonderful. That's why I keep talking about them, because people kept asking me to go in the middle of a cornfield or wherever to do a wedding ceremony. I'd have to run 800 feet of extension cord, which was not working out, and haul all the stuff in the middle of nowhere to play a half an hour's worth of music with a microphone. The battery-powered stuff works. It saves me time, and it saves me money. I don't have to hire a roadie, and it saves my back. Lightweight equipment is cheaper than back surgery. That's rule number one. But yeah, buy stuff that people need. And then as far as paying for it, I do a 5% rule with gear rental and build into my price. So for instance, if you get something that costs you $1,000 and you want to pay for it with your business, I put 5% of that, which is $50, onto my pricing and charge that for 20 events. After the 20 events, I own it. If I can do more than 20 events with it, I can make money with it. I yield my time to Sean.
Well, actually, let's keep going, guys. We'll get to the next thing. So we're kind of running behind, and we've got 4 topics left. This one might be a quicker one. What is that one moment you live for as a DJ? That one moment that you are like, yeah, this is why I am a DJ. Jay, go ahead.
It's every event. It's the same goal, and it's the same moment that you want, and that is when you have that one mix where the crowd just makes noise, where they just didn't see it coming. They didn't know that this was possible. And it's, in our opinion, it's probably not amazing, but it's you doing what you do and being in the moment and going, this will go this way. And it's not that they look at you for it. It's that they look at each other and start high-fiving and screaming. And it's knowing you facilitated that. I had one a while back, country hip-hop wedding. You know, we like everything, and at one point on the dance floor, there was that magic where I did Little John, Turn Down for What? And I mixed it into Luke Bryan, Country Girl, Shake That For Me. And I did it in such a way where when they crossed, everybody just kind of blew up, that they couldn't believe it was hip hop and country and they were dancing. And it's that moment where you walk away at the end of the night kind of a little sweaty, and you load the van or the truck or the trailer and you just go, man, if somebody had to see me do my job, I'd be so proud if this was where they saw that. And I genuinely strive for every wedding, every party, every event. I really want people to walk away and say, I didn't know you were that kind of a DJ. I didn't know you were that kind of a performer. And I think that's the ultimate goal. And it's that moment when it all comes together.
It's a dance floor thing for me. And it's that moment where you're going from song to song. Doesn't matter if you're mixing it or what. But when you see that look of surprise on their face, excitement, they can't believe that you're playing this. This is like better than what they could have asked for. This is better than what they could have requested. And the evening just keeps going like that. That's it. And I think the biggest compliment that I've ever gotten, and I've gotten it before, but I haven't had it in a while. I got it a couple of weeks ago when I did the wedding where the groom was from Nepal and the bride was from here in Milwaukee. So I was doing Indian music and English music and going back and forth all night. And someone from Nepal came up to me and they said, you know, we really like it when English DJs do our music because they play things that our DJs don't. Our DJs play the same thing over and over and over again, and we get bored with it. You guys, you're listening to the music and you're just picking things that you feel are good, and they are, and we don't hear them. So it's great to hear that. It's great to get that, you know, fresh take on our music. So yeah, I don't know. I like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun.
We create magic. I think at the core of it, our goal is always to very ego driven, but you want to walk away from that night going, this is what you want people to define a DJ as. I do. I want them to walk away and be like, I saw a great DJ. Who was it? Him.
Nice.
Why? Because it just all made sense. When I did it at Apollonia, I remember her saying to me that Prince used to talk about. All right, never mind this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Levity. It's called levity.
The next one.
Apollonia.
This is another debate that came off one of the Facebook chat rooms. People were wondering, do name brands, when it comes to our gear, lighting and or sound, do name brands matter today as much as they did 10 to 15, 20 years ago?
Pass.
You gonna yield your time?
Yeah, really, huh? I think the industry has established certain manufacturing names as the standard and or the pieces of equipment that are your goal to own. Then I don't think that's true now. I don't think in my day coming up, it was a goal to own, you know, CDJs by Pioneer. It was a goal to own track spots by high-end lighting. It was a goal to own, believe it or not, Ramza speakers. And then things changed. I think you have to look at things cumulatively. The 90s to 2000s, there was a ton of change. I mean, I bought my first powered speakers in 97, and that was early. That was an early adopter of powered speakers. Now, things come out every 6-8 months, and it's groundbreaking. Look, it's so new. It's not new. None of this stuff is new. people come out and go, ooh, it has a matrix zone output. Yeah, I saw that 10 years ago. Oh, it does this. Like moving heads. What are you really going to do to a moving head now to make it different? I think that there are those of us that invest in manufacturers because we know them from shows. We know them from Facebook. There's more of a personal relationship. But I do think it comes down to what you love. And in 15 seconds, I'll say this. You want to buy a pair of speakers? Go to a store with a black curtain. Tell them your price range, and then have them ABC speakers. And then pick the one you like the most. It may be the brand you don't think you like. Go.
I don't think brand names mean what they used to, because a lot of companies have been bought and sold to folks that just want a name for recognition's sake. The one that comes to mind is Blaupunkt. Do you remember them?
Yeah.
They used to put stereos in
I used to have it in my Volkswagen.
Yeah, German cars. I mean, that was high quality stuff. And a company bought them sometime in the 90s, and they ended up in Kmart for $20.
Yeah.
So it's not the same system. So, in that regard, and there are some things out there in the DJ industry that are very much like that pop up. And it's like, hey, wait a minute. This was high-end stuff. It went away for a while, but now some company that makes budget equipment has bought them, and they're putting this name on there to sell the product. Mackie bought RCF and was putting RCF stuff in their speakers for a while. So everybody thought Mackie was fantastic. And then that marriage didn't last very long. Mackie started doing what Mackie always did, but they had built that reputation for themselves as having this great sound quality because they were using RCF stuff. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. It just seems like you should go after stuff that works well. It doesn't have to be the expensive thing. It doesn't have to be the inexpensive thing, but just go after something that works well for you. The only thing I would urge people, forget about the name brands. I would urge people to buy the right equipment. Don't buy it because it's priced here. Buy it because it's right. And have an idea or a clue what this does and this does and this does, and then make an educated choice on what you need to buy. Maybe you need to step up to here. Maybe this is fine. You don't know until you try.
Well, look at the things on Facebook constantly, every day with this sounds this because of the mid bass. This sounds that because of this. This does that. It's empty comparisons. Put up a black curtain and listen to 5 speakers and see which one you like. I bought a really quick example. 10 years ago, I went from Yamaha speakers to JBL. And I chose them over QSC because those were 12s. I wanted 15s. But someone made a comment, a DJ made a comment to me when I was comparing them. He said, get the JBLs. I said, oh, you like those better? He goes, no, they're better known. I go, what do you mean? He goes, your bride's dad probably has JBL speakers at home or in his car.
Well, that story last week.
Well, I tell stories often.
And they fit every once in a while. Okay, the next topic, gentlemen, we have 2 left. What is the one thing that the DJ industry needs today? Any aspect of the DJ industry, if there's one thing that you could wave a magic wand and the DJ industry could achieve that one thing, what would that one thing be?
It would be continuity in professionalism. It would be an all on board, all in the same pool group of individuals that qualify to be called DJs. If you are doing one event every 6 months and you have a full-time law practice, to me, you're not a DJ. You are someone that plays music at an event. And you have money to buy gear, which, again, the best gear in the world doesn't make you a DJ. I would love to see every DJ collectively get together and say, here are our standards. We don't have a license. Drax was famous for explaining this one time at a show and saying, unlike other professions where you have to have insurance, bonding, license, everything else, qualifications, continuing education, we don't have any of that. Excuse me. So we're never on the same playing field. You could charge 20 grand a wedding. That doesn't make you a great DJ. We need to all get on the same, I won't on your show swear, John, but I wanted to. Hey, And meaning we need to all be head to head going in the same direction. If every DJ in the world tomorrow morning said, we charge $1,000 an hour for every event, it would take a client 3 phone calls to say, we need to redo our budgets. DJs cost this much. Cadillac Escalade costs the same in Podunk, Minnesota as it does in LA or New York. Why? Because it does. DJs cost everything under the map, and that's made us watered down. We need to be on the same page with the same professional goals in mind.
I think that we're artists, and that's why we're all a little different, and that's why I guess sometimes some people are better artists than others. That's very objective for me to say, but when it comes to the actual results that they achieve, it's there. But, you know, it would be really nice, I think, if more DJs looked at this as an art and not just an into a means, because there are a lot of things you can do to make money. This is a real shitty choice to make if you just want to make some cash. There are other things you could be doing. You could mow a lawn. You could shovel some snow. You could do a lot of things. But if you choose this, God, love it, you know? Do it because you love it. Do it because you feel like you can bring something to the table. And, you know, I don't know. My philosophy in life, for whatever it's worth, it's a bit utopian, but do what you love, do it well, and the rest will come to you. That's what I would.
You can't teach passion, though, Brian. That's the problem. You're when you talk about art, you're talking about passion.
Well,
you can't teach.
I don't even want to talk about the money part, because you know you got to put the cart before the horse here. Do a good job with what you do. Then worry about that. But
if you hit the lottery tonight for $10 million,
yeah, I'd still do this, of course.
So would I. That's the point.
Mm-hmm.
That's the passion. You can't instill passion when people are too busy trying to get YouTube views. And, hey, I think I've gotten hired to speak at a convention. That's not what this is about. That's all ancillary and side work. The goal is to be better next weekend than you were this weekend, because that's what passion drives you towards. You think Van Gogh's second painting was better or worse than his first? It was better.
I have to just point out to you that I've been rapping early, trying to give you some, buy you some time.
And I had to
Jay keeps taking it as rebuttal time, so it just goes away anyway.
It goes away, and we end up.
But I've been trying to wrap it like a minute early.
I know
so
you
can go on to the next topic.
And yeah, he's trying to get us back on schedule. So, but we are down to our last topic of the night.
This should be 3 hours long, by the way.
Oh, goodness gracious. I think there'd be people sleeping in the chat
John
room.
Caffrey and the Beaver Brown Band.
Okay. Where would the DJ Nirvana, the place to be, if you were a DJ and you wanted to go experience the most incredible atmosphere that was DJ related?
February at South Coast. No,
that's another thing for a different time. But if you guys are interested in joining us in February, you can hang out in the DJNTV chill room with Brian and Jay. You can go to DJNTV.com/tickets. Buy your ticket tonight. You can get it with the promo code DJNTV Show 2020. This is all in the description down below, so go check it out. But that'll get you there, and you can join them in the chill room. But I'm talking about somewhere that maybe some of us won't even know. It would be the coolest place for a DJ to hang out. Anywhere. And I'm global. I have some ideas, but I may not even be close to what you guys would
I know exactly where I'd want to go.
So, who starts?
My answer is going to be a place I've never been. Mm-hmm. My first answer would be, if given I could go anywhere as a DJ, to be in a place that as a DJ would amaze me and thrill me, it would be to go in season to Ibiza, where you have clubs of 5, 8, 10,000 people that are every night the best DJs in the world are performing. The best DJ in LA is the opener in Ibiza. So that would be my first place. I've been very fortunate to have spent several marches in Miami, Florida during Miami Music Week, along with Ultra Fest. And it is mind-blowing at 2:30 in the morning to walk into a small club bar and see Josh Wink playing, and then 20 minutes later go across the street and see Loco Dice, and then half an hour later see, Laid Back Luke, and then 2 hours later the sun's coming up and Deadmau5 is doing an impromptu set on the beach. It's like, but again, it's driven by, that's on a very EDM-centric scene.
Sure.
So for me, that's where I would go. If I was more hip-hop, I would do different areas of New York. If I was more rock, I would do M3 or different festivals. I think you need to be around like-minded individuals. The show in February, the Photo Booth Expo, along with this show, Mobile Beat, DJ Expo, ARMS, the small shows, just be around like-minded individuals and get excited. Look at Expo, the times Brian and I have had there, along with John. I mean, it's amazing because you're all together.
Mm-hmm. That it is. Brian, that one place in the world.
One?
Yeah.
Well, if I only could pick one, it would be not only a place, but a time. And it would be Manhattan in the 1970s.
Oh, Dave Mancuso, The Loft.
It would be that. It would be
I didn't know we could go back in time. No one said we could time travel.
Funhouse.
He can make up the
Studio
rules.
54.
Damn it.
I
would have said that.
It's his 2 minutes. He can make up anything he wants then.
The Copa. I mean, that would be the scene that I would want to check out.
Larry Levan.
All of that stuff. I mean, all up in uptown and downtown. I'd like to see it all. I'd love to somehow be able to check out what was going on in South Bronx. Back in the late 70s with Flash.
Awesome.
And Cool Herc. That would be amazing to see
awesome.
that. I think, there were so many groundbreaking things happening right then and there that are foundations of what we all do today. And it might be an unpopular opinion, but when it comes to the art of turntablism, I don't care how fast you are or how fast you scratch or whatever you do. Flash is the best. I still like his style better than anybody else's style I've heard since. And I'm just in love with that whole culture and just how groundbreaking it was all up and downtown. And I'm talking about the entire 70s from beginning to end. It was amazing. And I'd love to experienced it or just seen it.
I'd love to have Joey Blue on here sometime.
Yeah, Joey'd be fun.
He'd be fun because he was a DJ at Studio 54. Thinking in the realm of what Brian said, I completely 100% agree with what exactly Brian said. He gave the better answer of the two of us.
I guess I didn't realize there was a competition, but we'll go with that. So
I'm just saying, it's like if you said anywhere in time in the world, I can't tell you the number of like gay pride events I did where I would play to the crowd and have someone say, "Oh my God, this reminds me of the old days at 54." I'm like, "You were there?" They're like, "Oh, we used to go to Paradise Garage." I'm like, "You saw Larry Levan?" Like, to me, that's the beginning of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
The reason I exist as a DJ is because David Mancuso, Larry Levan, Flash, Cool Herc, Jazzy J, all these guys built the foundation and allowed me to put a house on it and be a DJ.
I was going to say, if, the 70s would be my first choice.
Oh, all day long. All day long.
But if I was able to go back and just, observe everything again, I would want to go to Chicago in the 80s, in the early to mid 80s.
Frankie Knuckles days at the warehouse.
It would be Detroit and more of the late 80s.
Yep.
90s.
Eric May.
The 90s, don't pass go. Don't collect $100. Go straight to Ministry of Sound and just stay there until like 2008. And I don't care where I go after that.
Dun 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 dun. You won't get a copyright on that.
No,
that's the benefit of it.
Yeah, that was pretty special too. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you much for being with us tonight. We made our 10 topics, and for those of you who want to refresh your memory, they are now in the chat or in the description. You can go there.
We have like 2 viewers now. We had 85.
I can go check here because we've got about 30, 40. We're about 55.
Okay, I want those 35 banned.
They'll never be allowed back on a show.
Yeah, exactly. Swear this out.
But there's some new faces tonight. Thank you for being with us and having some fun and some laughs with us. Let's see next Tuesday we
is that Christmas Eve?
Christmas Eve. I think we've got 2 weeks off.
I think so too. We're not going to be back until next
3 weeks.
Next decade.
Yeah, we'll be back here in the next.
Are we going to be live during NAMM?
Holy shirt balls! You're right. It's going to be 3 weeks.
We got to talk about NAMM a little bit yet, Jay. But if we can, that would be really, really cool.
That'd be cool to go live at NAMM.
I mean, at least from the Pioneer DJ booth, any exclusive video I can send out to this channel, I'd love to do that.
Yeah, we'll talk more about NAMM, but yeah, we'll be back in 3 weeks as we get ready to head into that NAMM season and share some of the new stuff that should hopefully be starting to drop soon. Because I know of some things, but we can't talk about them until after the 1st. So
yeah, we're gonna wait on announcements.
Jay, Brian, thank you guys very much, and thank you guys for being with us. And have yourself a great evening.
Good night, everyone. Have a great holiday. Thank you.